Taste of Dragons Gaming Podcast. We eat sandwiches and play games. Taste of Dragons Gaming Podcast. A podcast for everyone's taste.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Taste of Dragons, the Toddcast, the video game podcast that all you friends listen to. This week, it's our 100th episode-ish spectacular. Join us as we regale you in our origin story, relive our favorite moments, and fill your ear holes with more behind-the-scenes facts and trivia than you thought possible. And as always, I'm the guy with the voice only a mother could love, Brian.
And I'm just a grown adult who still gets nervous when he's trying to say the word Statistics. Woo. My name is Troy.
I got all the facts. My name is Manda.
I have no words, usually. My name's Lewis.
And I'm the person who didn't realize the word statistics would be an interesting word to hear Troy say. Joe.
That is a very interesting word, and we're going to be hearing a lot of that today.
No, you're just going to hear the word stats instead.
Analytics.
That sounds
It's a hard word.
I like
Statistics.
Analytics is easier than statistics. That's hilarious.
Statistics.
Statistics.
I don't get it.
Hi, welcome to our 100th episode where we discover words
Yeah.
for the first time.
This is our 100th episode.
Wow.
This is exciting,
Wow,
guys.
congratulations.
Yeah, good
Here,
job, guys. Good
handshakes
job.
all around.
Yeah. Pat each other
Everyone,
on the back.
virtual
High
hair
fives,
handshakes. Yeah.
Slap, slaps. High fives.
I really wish we could be together in person to record this episode, guys.
I know, bud. I
If only.
know.
If only.
Wouldn't that be great?
Maybe for our anniversary.
Yeah, hey. That's in
That
what,
would-
March?
hopefully.
Yeah.
March, I think?
Yeah, March. Yep.
Hey, get those
Come
vaccines
on,
out.
vaccine.
Listen here, just because you got yours, big man over here.
Hey, I'm halfway there, man. I am not
Yeah, I know.
putting the chicken before the horse. That's the phrase, right?
That's
Yep.
yeah.
That's
Thank you
absolutely.
very much.
Yeah, not putting all
You
your
forgot the word
goats in the same
statistics
basket.
in there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm halfway there. I still have one shot to go. Anything could happen, man. I'm holding on. But how does it feel, y'all? 100 episodes?
It feels great. It feels really awesome.
Does it feel like it?
Well, it doesn't feel like 100 to me because I haven't been in 100 episodes, but
Fair enough.
that's just math.
That is straight up math.
I got all the facts today.
That's a Mandy statistic.
It's Amanda fact.
That's Amanda fact.
Who do you think you are, Santa?
You are Santa Claus? Coming in here with these facts.
But you know what? I figured this week we could start things off a little differently. Normally we start with our games, but this week I was thinking, you know what? It's been a while. You know, I'd actually like to start with how this little podcast got started.
How did this podcast get started?
Wow.
Flows right off the tongue. Right
Yeah.
off the tongue, Troy.
Beautiful
I
flow.
barely got that out.
Yeah.
And if you are a newer listener, or even if you've been listening since the very first episode, metaphorically looking at you, Jason, you will definitely learn something about this. So our actual first published episode was on March 18th, 2019. It's a long time ago, guys.
Nice. Wow.
Wow.
5 years ago.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's been 20
Yeah.
years.
2019, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2021.
Yeah, that makes
There
sense.
you go. But you guys might not know that we actually started off about 6 months before that.
Oh, damn. This origin story is getting
yeah.
real, everyone. Hunker in.
It's getting real,
Put the
real.
seatbelt on. Recline it a little bit, but not too far.
Put your tray tables up, you know, gotta make sure. The original voices of Tasted Dragons was actually myself, Brian, Lewis, and 2 former members, Caitlin and Zach. Joe was right there with us. She preferred being off the microphone, and she was just our tech and editor. And I say just, but she did the most amount of work out of all of
Oh,
us.
most
Yeah.
definitely.
Yes. Still does.
Yeah, still does.
This is a very shared friendship. You guys put in just as much. I just don't do the outside stuff.
Yeah. So we actually recorded a bunch of episodes, one of which we started recording at like midnight, and we were just like incoherently babbling by the time we got to the tasty topic.
Oh my God,
which
I
was like a
remember
heavy
that.
topic, like it was microtransactions and what to do about them.
I remember that.
It was like a 20-minute tasty topic.
It was like watching an accounting like seminar. That's how late it was and how like out of it we were. And we were just like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, man, you just gotta You just got to think about it for the corporation side. It was rough.
No, you're a microtransaction.
Yeah.
It's a good topic, just wrong time.
Way wrong, like literally wrong time of the night.
So what was the idea of doing these like before episodes, but before you guys aired them? What was the goal at that time?
The goal of this was basically to gain our footing and like find our flow and actually find like our pacing, if you will. Like, just try to see how we can actually bounce off one another with ideas and conversation, that type of stuff.
Okay.
And then also, Joe, I think you had read somewhere that you should probably have some episodes in the can before you start.
Yeah, I had done a whole bunch of research and statistics and things on how podcasts even work and what the best way to kind of start off is. And everything said you should have a few episodes in the can just to kind of make sure you can keep up with the pace of it, because the first couple weeks are easy. The next couple weeks are really hard.
Yeah.
Right. So if you have
absolutely.
to miss a week or something, you have something in the can somewhere to put in. That is very smart. Look at that research.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I know. Joe doing all of that. Again, she did all of the work.
All work.
But while we're recording these unreleased episodes and quite literally finding our voice, Lewis couldn't make it one week. And so Joe and I had always wanted Troy to join, but we weren't sure if he would want to. But with Lewis not being able to make it, we were like, hey, listen, this is the week. Let's just ask him, see if he want to fill in, see if he would like to do it. And do you actually remember that? Yeah.
Yeah, because we go to taco nights, Taco Tuesdays at Joe's, where you cook up the best tacos around. And yeah, usually more like, wait, that was weird.
Yeah.
Yum.
Usually when I would come to taco nights, I would just kind of go in the corner, and those that are into video games, we would all just kind of talk about video games in the corner while eating tacos, and some people are watching TV in the other room. And I think it was just one of those regular nights where I was coming over and I was like, well, hey, I'm playing this thing, Infamous 2. It's crazy. Or that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Infamous 2 was too long ago. This is only 2 years ago, not 10 years ago. Whatever game I was playing. And you guys just kind of offered it over to me. And I've always been kind of off and on with podcasts in like the theater world and otherwise, where it's always like fun to do an episode or so. But I'm always afraid of like jumping in onto like a big project, because like I didn't know if I would enjoy being fully invested into something like that.
Of course.
But then you said video games. And I was like,
Magic word.
Yeah. It's probably the only thing I could do a weekly podcast about is video games. So I was very honored and excited to jump in.
Yeah, it was really cool. I was really happy you did that. And so with all of these episodes in the can and with all of this news in them that was now no longer current, we were like, all right,
Right.
we should bite the bullet and actually record our first episode to release. Like for real. And that was the Get to Know Us episode, which actually was our very first episode.
Yeah.
Listen to it if you would like. It is a little rough, and we don't have like any bits that we have in right now.
No segments, no bits. It's just half of the cast isn't even here anymore.
Yeah.
But it's us.
Yeah, that was myself, Troy, Lewis, Caitlin, and Zach. It was pretty awesome.
Now, what was the story behind, like, even before the first episode? Was it Caitlin and Zach who originally came up with the idea to start a podcast? Like how where's that story or?
Yeah. Basically, it was Zach. Zach came up, and it was during Taco Tuesdays, and he was just like, "Hey, I've been rattling around that idea in my head that I was thinking about doing a gaming podcast. I listen to them all the time, and I think I'm ready to do one."
Wow.
And so then Joe and I think he went up to Joe actually.
Yeah, it was
and because he was like, "Hey,
I
I could use some help."
If we're technically going to do anything in our lives, you have to go to Joe.
Let's be honest.
You go to Joe.
This is how our friend group
Let's
works.
be honest. You literally go to Taco Tuesday.
Especially when it comes to like tech stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You go to Taco Tuesday. You go to the kitchen. Joe's cooking. You're like, "Hey, Joe, can I talk to you about something?"
You bribe the bouncer outside. A big burly Italian man lets you in. Goes in a smoky kitchen. You sit down. You leave your gun at the door. You're like,
Gun at the door.
It's a whole
Joe,
process.
I'd like to ask for a favor, and then she writes your name in a little book, and then
A little book.
and then she's like, "What do you want?"
Oh man. And
This all sounds quite right. Yeah.
Yeah, this is accurate. This is 100%
It was
accurate.
very accurate.
I didn't even realize you guys were there.
And so yes, Joe actually. So he goes up to Joe and he's like, "Hey, listen, I was thinking about doing this. Could you help me out with like some tech and stuff like that?" And Joe goes, "Yeah. You just let me know what you need." And then I think it was like a couple of weeks later, he comes back and he's like, "Yeah, I'm still thinking about doing it." And Joe's like, "Yeah, you just let me know, and I'm more than happy to help you." And he goes, "All right, well, I don't know if I feel comfortable hosting it." So I don't know if we could find if we know anybody that could do it. And so then Joe's like, "Well, we could see if Brian wants to do it."
Right.
And so then they asked me, I was like, "Yeah, sure, I don't mind. I mean, I've literally never done any of that stuff before, but sure, I'll figure it out. I mean, I don't mind figuring it out. We'll see how it goes. And if I'm terrible at it, well, we're just got to deal with it. That's just how it is."
These episodes are going in the can anyway.
Exactly. So yeah, that's kind of how it started, and so
you all were also coworkers at the time, so you guys were able to kind of talk about it here and there.
Yeah.
And was it also the video games that drew you in, or was it just the idea of a new project that really hooked your interest, Joe, yourself, and Brian?
It was video games because I'm
video
much like
games.
you, Troy. I can't talk about a lot of things. I mean, I can, but like not really like
Right.
off the cuff stuff. But when it comes to video games, literally my entire life, with the exception of like maybe my first 3 years of life,
Wow.
I've been playing video games.
Gosh,
So I have
slacker.
no problems. Yeah. And then we asked Lewis. I think Lewis was involved even before I was, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
So I think
Wait
he
a
came and
second.
asked
Is
you
there a
about it,
twist
right?
in this plot, Lewis?
I mean, because like I worked with Zach and pretty much everyone that was originally a part of the podcast, and Zach had come up to me, and we would always talk about video games and all that kind of stuff, and then he asked me if I'd be interested in kind of doing maybe a video game podcast or something like that. And I'm like, I mean, I don't really listen to podcasts. I've never heard one.
Right.
Mind you, that's still, let's be honest, that's still the case. I don't really listen to podcasts.
I remember you distinctly saying in one of the first episodes that I was on with you, and we talked about podcasts, where you were like, "I just don't understand why I would want to listen to people. I just go talk to my friends." And I was like, who do you think you are, Santa
Hey.
Claus?
Yeah.
Thanks for the advertisement.
Right?
And this is on the podcast.
On the podcast. Like, I would
Yeah.
just talk to my friends. Hint, hint, nod, nod, wink, wink. But yeah, so he came up to me and asked me about it. I said, yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know what it takes to do it. He's like, oh no, I talked to Jo about it, and she said she'd definitely be able to help or something. I'm like, oh, okay, just let me know.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah, that
All
was
right.
really cool. And then once we got the crew together, we
Yeah.
were like, all right. And we used to always, back in the 1900s, we used to actually be able to go out and do things.
Oh, man.
And so we were at Chili's one night, and we were like, all right. We were thinking about, we're actually talking about it actually seriously. And I was like, all right.
Where all good things get serious is Chili's.
Chili's.
Exactly. Get
Of course.
serious.
That's
yeah.
where the plans
Chili's.
are made.
Everything's
Over
done over
queso.
queso. Exactly.
I'm pretty sure the Treaty of Versailles was signed there. Yeah, just
Oh, I think so.
ended everything. Fixed the world.
It makes a lot of sense. And while we were there, I was like, all right, so we should come up with a name. So I'm like going through different things, and then I was like, all right, let me just go on to like Google. So I Googled, I think name generator, like group name generator. I don't even remember what I typed in, but I went to one of those, and I think I went to like the third link, because you don't go to the first one, because that's
No,
one
no,
everyone
no.
goes to.
Yeah.
You go to like
Right.
the third one.
Smart.
So I went to like that one, and I started clicking on it, and I think it was either the very first one or it was the second time I clicked it. And it generated like 6 all at once, and I think I was saying all of them over the table, and I got to the very last one, which was Taste of Dragons.
Wow.
And I was like, and like something just clicked in my brain. I started seeing all of the segments we could do.
Oh my
I started
gosh.
seeing like all of the little tie-ins we could do.
Wow.
And now it's just like, I think this is it. Like it just sounded right
Yeah,
to me.
you had a premonition.
Yeah.
You can say it. Your pun processor went into overload, and you just couldn't handle the
It
amount.
really did.
It is a
I don't even remember the rest of that night.
You just wake up with a smear of queso over your mouth,
oh
Scales,
god.
claws,
nacho
dragon,
chips everywhere.
sandwiches.
I mean, I remember hearing the name and thinking, I'm like, that's so weird, but I kind of really like it. I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
know
It's
what it means, but it's really cool.
When you hear it, it's like you understand all the words. It sounds familiar, but then you think about it, and you're like, wait, what does that even mean?
Doesn't make any
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, am I actually eating a dragon? Is it what?
But-
like what a dragon likes to
Yeah.
do?
But then
But
if
it
you hear
sounds
it's a
cool.
gaming podcast, somehow it clicks. It's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah. dragons are in games, it's Tastes of, whatever. All right, cool. Let's go with it.
I didn't have any say in it because the table had already said yes. And I immediately went to, well, this needs to have something else that I call this. Not because I didn't like the name, but I was like, this doesn't make any sense. And I like things that don't make sense. But so I immediately was like, I was writing out the name of it, and I was writing out acronyms, and it was like, Todd. It's a Toddcast. We're good.
There you
I'm
go.
good. We're done.
That was your buy-in. Wow.
Yeah.
That is really cool. All right. So that is okay, thank you for the rewind, Brian, on that. We got
no problem.
How all three of you got on board to this project. Now I'm on board.
Yes.
Let's go back. I'm on board now. I'm here. I'm with you all on a weekly basis.
You're here. You're with us.
What
Recording
happened
episodes.
Next in our story.
Next in our story, Jo actually joins the podcast. Her very first episode that her voice can be heard was on our 7th episode. And that was due to all of us being in Japan. By all of us, I mean Jo and myself and Zach and Caitlin. We were in Japan, and we were like, all right, there's only 3 of us. Jo, you should probably be on this episode just so we get to have a 4th. We need a 4th voice. And she's like, all right, fine.
Reluctance.
And
I mean, what?
That's accurate.
I love that, Jo. You waited till the Japan episode to be like, boom, here I am, y'all.
Yeah.
Check it out.
yeah.
That's how I roll.
Like they picked you up in Japan, and then you could become a part of it.
Exactly.
That's right.
It doesn't count if you're not in your same country. So it was like, well, I mean, what happens in Japan stays in Japan.
Exactly.
That episode made us go international. I'll get into it with our stats, but we have a few downloads from Japan, and I think it's because of that episode.
Nice. And then our next milestone, Amanda joined us, and her very first episode was episode 15, where she was filling in for Lewis. Lewis, you being gone is just great. It's just been adding so much to this podcast.
I planned it all, and you're welcome.
Thanks for having an inconsistent schedule, man. Thanks for having
Absolutely.
dreams and aspirations beyond a podcast.
I know, right?
We want to try the podcast, but we got to make it seem like he's doing us a favor. And then they're like, Lewis, you should leave. And Lewis is like, ha, ha, ha. And they're like, no, Lewis, seriously. Leave for 2 days. And then, all right.
And it was a double feature because I knew that I was going to be heading out for work for a couple months. And we were thinking about having Mandy on board. So we're like, all right, let's get her in for Lewis. And then when I am out, she'll just straight up take my place for those 2 months while I can't be here.
We did joke that I would just pretend to be Troy while he was gone and just act like nothing had happened. And that the whole 2 months I would just do a Troy bit. But I couldn't keep that up.
Yeah, you couldn't pull it off. It was a great idea, though. That idea was, when we thought of that, so when we were all brain collaborated that, it was just oh, this would be hilarious. And what's even funnier than that is, since that episode, you have never left us, Amanda. That's just how it's been.
I'm
since.
very consistent.
You are.
When she commits, she
Always
commits.
said that about
It was awesome.
It's my favorite thing about you, babe.
Consistency.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah.
And then Lewis left us and moved to New York. Yeah, again,
Yeah,
and that was
sorry.
episode 20 was his last episode, and we actually had in the parentheses of that episode title "by Lewis" because it was a sad day. It was a sad day to see you gone. And then actually soon after that, Caitlin and Zach actually also decided to part ways.
And big love to Caitlin and Zach for getting us that far. Big hearts to both of you all.
Yeah,
Would not
for
be
real.
here without
us.
you, 100%.
That's right. They're with us for the first 26 episodes, which is a pretty good run. That's half a year. That was pretty great. So with Lewis being gone, though, along with Caitlin and Zach, we needed a 4th voice. And that's when reluctantly Jo was like, fine, but I'm not. This is not going to be long term. You guys need to find somebody else. I don't want to do this. Hey, remember that, Jo? How'd that work out? How'd that work out?
Worked out real good. Real good. It worked out great. Yeah.
I won't lie, Troy and I were definitely at home being like, we need to scare off anyone else who comes because Jo has such a wonderful take on the podcast.
Yeah. Showing up at people's driveways with baseball bats.
You're not interested, understand?
Well, we just got the bouncer that was outside our houses for taco nights, and we just made sure we just moved them over to the podcast. That's what we did.
Yeah.
We showed everyone that little
He's a good
book with
guy.
their names in it.
Yeah.
Don't get crossed off.
if you actually look at Joe's first 3 episodes that she's on, it actually says her description is special guest Joe because she didn't want to. Her premise was she wasn't going to be
It's
on
true.
permanently.
I think for weeks I was like, hey, if you guys want to have anybody else do it, you go right ahead. No harm, no foul. Nobody wants to listen to me.
But we all knew that Joe, you were amazing, and your chemistry with your hubby Brian is hilarious. And so earnest and genuine that it was like there was
okay.
no way we could let you go.
Yeah, it worked. It worked.
It works.
And so with it being just the 4 of us, we were like, we should probably come up with some new ideas. So we actually started having weekly meetings to discuss what we would be discussing for the episode, as well as coming up with new material. And listening to these episodes during this time was wild.
Really?
Like, we had so many things we were trying and seeing what stuck.
Really?
And in case you were wondering, not many of them did, but it was great figuring things out as we went. Like, we were trying different things out every single week, I remember. And also during this time, we were doing like tasting it to the streets. We were doing our fact checker AJ, which was always fun. And we had so many other amazing ideas that were just amazing. And what you're listening to now is the fruits of that labor. So either you're welcome or I'm sorry. But yeah, so I mean, that's basically it. I mean, then COVID happened. We started recording remotely. Then we went back to in person. Then Lewis moved back. Then cases started up again. Thanks, Lewis. And then we went back to recording remotely.
Patient 0.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lewis went to New York, and there was nothing interesting in New York, so he just came back. He missed us too much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
what it
I
was.
miss the crew. I miss the crew.
He's like, I need to get back to that podcast, guys. I need to do this.
I think
We
Lewis,
missed you.
We
I
did.
think Lewis might have even said that New York was overrated. I think that's a
Oh,
Lewis
100% I did. That is an
that
accurate
was a quote,
statement
yeah.
from my mouth.
Yeah. But yeah, that brings us to today. So, I mean, it's been a wild 100 episodes, guys.
Fulfilling.
It's been amazing.
And yeah, so much within those 100 episodes. Lots of memories. High fives to you all. High five.
Virtual high five.
And high five to you all at home.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, double high fives.
And then I was also thinking, in lieu of games we were playing this week, I was thinking, were there any games that you guys have played because of this podcast? Whether due to streaming that week, or maybe it was something that one of the other peoples were talking about. What are we called? One of the other friends was
One of
talking
the other
about.
castmates.
One of the other castmates, thank you. One of the other castmates was talking about, and you're like, oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. Maybe I'll play that.
Yeah.
For me, it was actually Among Us.
Oh.
I never thought I would play that game. I always saw people playing it, but I was like, I don't think I would ever, get into it because you need to have friends to play it with. And then when we were all discussing what to play on Friend Zone, I was like, well, let's do Among Us. I was like, I can play that game now. I can actually experience this phenomena.
Yeah.
And I did. And that game is a whole lot of fun.
I'll agree with that. I would never play Among Us. I would never play Fall Guys.
Really?
Never.
Really?
Those aren't my kind of games.
Right.
Yeah.
But because of the podcast and streaming, I've played both a lot more than I ever thought I could possibly imagine. And then I also played a game that I actually truly love. I forget who brought it up, but Moonlighter.
Oh yeah, I think that was myself.
Yes,
That was
Brian
myself.
brought
I
that up.
kickstarted it.
Yeah, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian brung it up, and I'm like, oh, that sounds really, really cool. And then I looked it up. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. This is super
Yeah.
indie coolness. I couldn't even describe it. I was playing it. I loved it so much. I played it a lot.
Yeah, it's a great game.
I'm not gonna lie, the podcast hasn't been great for my wallet because it's so
Oh, man.
easy to rationalize buying a new game because you're like, oh, it'd be great to talk about it on the podcast. Oh, and if it's really good, then I can Twitch it.
Yeah.
I can stream it with the Twitch. I can Twitch it. How old am I? I
Twitch
can
it.
stream it on the Twitch. But I think the one that stands out the most was actually a suggestion from one of our viewers. Is they suggested Dark Side Detective, and that wasn't just a great game, but it was so fun to have everyone watch. And then I'm kind of in love with Sergeant Dooley. Like, memes show up on Twitter now, and I was like, I would die for that man. Like we must all protect Dooley with our lives.
Great character.
He's so funny.
Yeah.
And Troy's voice for Dooley, obviously.
Hey, I'm Dooley. I got shoelaces, but no shoes. Oh.
Yeah, that's a great choice. Yeah, Dark Side Detective is great for all of us because that game is just so charming.
It's
even just
oh my
watching
gosh.
it, it's great.
I think for me, I would have never watched or been interested in playing one of those Nancy Drew point and click games. And I can honestly say I'm still, yeah.
Wow.
I'm still not really
We
impressed,
did that.
or do I care to? But I will say, because of people on YouTube telling me that was the worst one of them ever, and that I need to give a different one of them a try, and because Caitlin loved them so much,
Yeah.
I would like to still, so it didn't ruin it for me. I still had a great time watching you guys play it and watching us all be like, turn on the pumpkin, turn that way. Oh my gosh, that girl's behind us again. It was very funny.
That was a rough game.
I don't remember the name of that. What is it? Nancy Drew and the
Midnight in Salem.
Midnight in Salem.
Midnight in Salem. There we go.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's a bad game.
You know what?
That was such a bad
I
game.
don't hear Troy say that's a bad game almost ever. So for him to say that,
Yeah.
you know it holds some weight. Troy can find something good in most games.
It was so bad that like we started playing that game and Brian's on the controller, and about an hour in I was like, hey, do you mind if I get on the controller, because it was just like the slowest and the worst, and I was like, Brian has to be doing something wrong, there's no way it's this bad. And then after about 15 minutes I was like, you know, Brian, you can do it, it's fine.
This is not you. This is not you at all.
I remember that.
I had to know for myself, but it is so bad.
It's really bad. What about you, Troy?
So for like a full month, I had like 4 straight episodes. As we mentioned, Zach, our former beloved dragon, would talk about this one game. And then Brian, I think it might have inspired you, because then you started talking about this game for weeks and weeks. And both of you were talking about this game. And it's from a franchise that I love, and that I've played every single iteration of it, but not Final Fantasy XIV. The online game, the online MMO. You guys talked about the story behind it, how it crashed and it came back. It was a feature of our Dragon of the Week segment, which would, honoring our industry professionals. And you would talk about Naoki Yoshida and how he like totally saved that universe and how brilliant it was, and the music, and Zach saying like even by itself, it's one of the best Final Fantasies, like up there with 6 and 7 and 9 and all that. And I was just like, holy crap. That eventually I was just like, I didn't even have control over my body. I just like woke up one day after recording a podcast where we probably talked about it again. And then all of a sudden I was just like zombie walking to the controller and then like putting in my information. And I bought that game. I bought all of their expansions. I got like the month free. And you know how I know that I was just reacting to the podcast? Because there's a monthly subscription, right? You have to pay per month, but the first month is free. I got this game fully knowing that I was leaving for work in a month. Like I mentioned earlier, for Mandy to come on, like I was leaving in like less than a week. Why did I do that? Why would I do that? It's because of the podcast.
Of course.
You guys just filled me with so much desire to sink my teeth into a Final Fantasy game.
And then you played it for 7 days and then never picked it up ever again.
Well, my subscription ran out and I didn't feel like paying monthly.
Honestly, the podcast has been both a positive and negative in my playing of video games, because we have like
How is it a negative?
Okay. Oh, how is it a negative, Troy? Let me tell you. Well, we have a text group going. I'll be like, hey guys, so this game's coming out. Should I get it? And
Buy it.
everyone's
Totally
like,
buy
get
it.
it, get
Totally
it.
do it.
You can talk about
yeah.
it. Murder hour.
This-
you can do this. You can do this.
You can eat tomorrow. Buy
And
the
I'm like,
video
I
game.
have no
This-
money. Yeah, but it'll be worth it.
I think I'm literally the only person in that text group. It's just like, why don't you finish the first one first?
You're not alone. I'm usually really nice about that stuff, but if it's a game I like, I'm like, well, you should just buy it so we can all talk about it.
This conversation you're talking about literally happened yesterday for me with Hitman 3. Like, this is not
I
something
was
new.
a part of that conversation.
This is like a monthly thing that we are doing.
And I'm still
Oh,
in
yeah.
that conversation.
It's
and,
bad.
And you rationalize it in your head by being like, oh, no, I'm not playing video games. I'm creating content.
Working on the podcast.
I'm researching.
I'm like, I can't call myself a gamer if I don't play like 5 games a week.
Can't talk about that
right.
game, the same game I talked about last week. How lame is that?
I know, right? Psh. They already heard about that.
And you know, it's, to be honest, and also thinking about like games that we are inspired from by the podcast. Another thing that could be a little hiccup, for me while being on this podcast, is also like there's more of a pressure to play games. I guess even games that I own, not necessarily buying games, but like games that I already have, or even like, hey, I just didn't feel like playing this week over the summer when things were super dark because of the protests and everything. Like I was not into playing video games. I didn't want to look at any video games. I didn't want to spend. It just wasn't a drive for me. But the idea of like, hey, but you're on a gaming podcast. What you gonna do?
Oh wow.
And there was definitely parts of that kind of pressure of like, well, I gotta try something or do something, which could be a good thing to help motivate you to get out of a rut, but also is a pressure that I feel even on regular months and regular days. Not a bad thing, but just an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. I like that. That was a good trip down memory lane.
Definitely.
Memory lane. Memory lane. That was awesome. And we are also not going to be doing news this week. As we were looking at news, we were like, you know what? There wasn't too much that was important that couldn't be pushed off till next week. So we'll probably talk about the Resident Evil news that came out today, as well as some other stuff next week. But we do want to go into our tasty topic this week, where we're going to be calling Behind the Scales.
Behind the Scales.
I wish I could remember the music for Behind the Music and I'd be humming that.
Oh, man.
behind
Oh,
it.
yeah, I know, right?
I just make it up.
Behind the Scales. Just like that, yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, this is where the stats and all the other behind the scales type of thing, if you will, is going to be coming through. Troy, do you have any statistics for us?
All right, let's get to it. Also, great pronunciation on statistics.
Thank you.
So let's start with the segments. We have a lot of fun segments, but they all didn't start at the same time. So let's see how many segments we've gone through. When it comes to Dragons of the Week, that's our segment where we talk about industry professionals. We have had 84 episodes where we have talked about Dragons of the Week.
Woof, we should write a book.
Wow.
Yeah, no, we didn't start doing that.
Yeah.
And we also have some days where we do other things besides that. But I think a book would be nice, Mandy. I'll get on that. When it comes to our tasty topics, kind of our hot button discussion issues, we've had 74 tasty topics. When it comes to our Gamers Digest, where we turn video games into sandwiches, we have made 8 sandwiches. That is 8 sandos.
8
Yeah,
cents.
that came out of the that brainstorming like summer where we were just like, we got to come with some new stuff.
Let's do it. And we're also very hungry, apparently. All the time.
We are.
Literally all the time. When it comes to on-podcast collaborations, we have had 9 collaborations, including great friends. Shout out to AJ, Pencil Pusher, Jen, Anthony, Carlos, 3000 Brigade, Marlene, Zach, and Jordan, who was part of our Halloween Spectacular episode. That was pretty spooky. Still loading, which will be coming up soon. We've had a lot of really great collaborations, and we're looking forward to doing more.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when we can do them in person.
I was gonna say, we would have had a whole lot more
I
this
know.
last year.
Yeah, all those
We would've
9
had a
were
whole lot
from
more.
like the beginning of the first year, or the end of the first year.
Yeah, the end of the first year, yeah.
We have a segment called Game Lore in 2 minutes, complicated game lore, where we take complicated game lore and try to explain it very quickly. We've only done that 3 times.
It's because it's hard.
This was a surprise to me. And also, I think we love it so much that we're like precious about it.
Yeah, we like to save it.
We like to save it for like a special
Yeah.
moment.
We do.
Yeah, we don't want to use it too much.
Yeah. But one thing that we don't feel bad about savoring is the turn-ups for what?
My favorite segments.
It's Brian's favorite segment, and we love it as well. We've had 30 plus different turnips for what? That's our segment where we actually give you in-game Animal Crossing updates and news, most of the time through our actual characters that we play in Animal Crossing from their point of view. Awesome stuff. Those are our statistics for segments. Now, when it comes down to the podcast stats, we've had 100 episodes with total downloads of 3,682.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is an
nice.
average of 37 downloads per episode. But let's actually look at what our most downloaded episodes are as of today. And this is for all time. You guys ready?
Yep.
Ready.
All right,
Let's go.
Let's do this. Coming in at number 5, it is a tie for 70 downloads each. We have Death Not With Stranding, which is our deep dive on Death Stranding, and the Dragons of Destiny, our collaboration with Anthony and Carlos, where we literally spent an hour and a half just talking about Destiny.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
It was not planned to be an hour and a half. That was supposed to be like an under hour episode, like most of them were at that time. And it just kept going because we love Destiny.
Yo, and you know what? The fans do too. The Destiny diehards don't joke around, and they tuned in for that episode. Coming in at number 4, we have the episode titled Troy Discovers Looter Shooters Under the Sea, an early episode where I think I divulged to you all that I have a hate for the song Under the Sea in Kingdom Hearts games.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
It like pops on and I'm just like, oh, it's overplayed, and it just gets on my nerves every single time. At number 3, we have, oh, that's why they call it Moonlighter. Call back to Lewis. This is probably when you discovered Moonlighter.
Yeah.
And was like, oh, I guess it's because he moonlights.
Oh.
Our second highest episode, coming in at 93 downloads, is Jedi Sword and Shield. And that was a special one because we recorded it in a hotel that an anime convention was happening. It was Anime EY was happening that day. Shout out to Anime EY for having us. And that was the day where we actually went into the crowd and mingled with the cosplayers, talked about games they liked, talked about their costumes. It was a really good networking moment, and it paid off because all those people tuned into the following episode, which is awesome at 93.
Yeah, and we recorded that episode on like a TV tray as well.
I
Like,
remember
all of
that.
us
2
were
beds.
surrounded around this one.
Yeah.
2 beds. We were 2 of us were on each bed, recording. We had the TV tray in the middle of the 2 beds, and our microphones were real close.
And that episode sounded great, and we took pictures, and all of the pictures look fantastic.
Fantastic.
Like, we finished doing that episode, and I was like, we should always use hotel rooms because everything out of here looks great.
It made us look like rock stars.
We did.
The winter from that week was really great.
Yes.
Oh my God, the winters.
Well, we'll talk about some of those fun segments, winters. Well, little
Yeah.
tease there. So, and our number 1 episode with the most downloads at 105 total downloads is Getting to Know Your Dragons, our very first episode of the podcast. Also our roughest, but it's got heart. It's got heart.
It's got heart.
And
It's got all the heart.
It's nice to know that when people come across us and they hear about our podcast, they do go like, well, let me try and start from the beginning. And I know a few that have actually done that and have caught up
Yeah.
Wow.
all the way.
Troopers.
Troopers indeed.
Oh yeah.
So those are the numbers as far as what our top episodes are. Real quick, here are some places that we are being listened to. We have downloads that are over 20 and above and 30 and above from Japan, Germany, France, the UK, Canada, Denmark. We have more listeners from Mexico, Colombia, Brazil. They're smaller numbers, but they're still there. They're still there.
They're still there.
They're still
exist.
there. They count.
We have 1 listener from Chile, 1 listener from Turkey, 1 listener from Iran. So, hey, what's up? Spain, Australia, 5 listeners in Italy. And there's even more than that. It's even more than that. And that's just amazing to know that somehow somewhere in Portugal has heard our voices.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That is really
I imagine
cool.
they were
Yeah.
very confused.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it.
And not because of the language barrier.
Nope.
just content.
No.
Why are they talking about sandwiches so much?
They wanted to know how to cook dragons, and we did not explain.
They have a dragon problem.
Yes. The USA is where the dominating amount of listeners are coming from. And it's no real surprise, I guess. Most of our listeners are based out of Florida, but right behind Florida is California and New York. We have about 1,300 listeners just in Florida itself, and then 500 in California, and then like 250 apiece for New York and Virginia, believe it or not.
Whoa.
We got- and I don't think any of us know anybody in Virginia.
No.
Nope.
That's awesome.
I mean, I have family there.
Oh,
but,
well,
Okay,
you know,
well,
no,
thank
well,
you.
Yeah,
it's definitely not them. They're not into video games.
It's definitely not them.
So thank you all in the world for letting our dragon wings spread out and fly and make it across so many borders. It's really an honor for all that to happen.
Truly.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. 36% of people listen on Apple, 17% on Spotify, 6% on Podbean and iTunes, 6%, and 33% in other categories. That could be Amazon. That could be just Googling us and finding us at a browser. When you put out a podcast, does go to the main places, but also pretty much anyone can kind of take it who has like a podcast service and just
or anyone who
throw
just
it on
listens
there.
real hard, like if they want it enough and they just like
Just
concentrate.
no computer,
Yeah.
no car. They just meditate.
Anyone
and
using
then,
a scrying stone or getting
That's
it through a portal, that's also those
No, it makes
numbers.
sense.
Do you guys think anybody has heard our podcast on a Google Glass? I'm just wondering. Like,
Oh
could
my
you,
gosh.
like the one person who's still using their Google Glass is like, yeah, Taste of
it's
Dragon.
that one person in Chile. It's that one person in Chile.
Yeah.
So let's get into some stats with our social media, because that's where a lot of our time and effort also gets put into. On Twitter, we have 123 followers, whoop whoop, 322 mentions, whoop whoop, 1,233 tweets. Take a hats off to Mandy for that. Come on.
That is-
1,233 tweets. And when it comes to views on our tweets, there are 147,000. Over 147,000 views on Twitter.
Holy
That is amazing.
People look at what we say and sometimes they like it.
And to be honest, I would say probably like 140,000 of those are from like the last 3 months that Mandy has been going hard indie developer scene. So right on, babe.
Yeah.
Woo woo.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
When it comes to Instagram, we have 269 followers coming in and 414 posts of pictures and videos. And this is Instagram, where we did some more storytelling content. When it came to the PS5 launch, we all made different storied content kind of depicting us trying to wait for the PS5. Lots of fun there. We had a great segment early on called WHAAAT, which is an acronym for What I'm Not Talking About. It was a way for us to promote the next episode of the podcast by talking about what we're not talking about. And it was a really fun, high energy video sequence. They're all on there still. Just scroll back about a year. We had to stop doing them because of COVID, but it was a real fun injection of energy.
Yeah, I actually missed them. They were really fun.
I feel a bit like we're at a shareholders meeting and all of our listeners are our shareholders. It's like, hey, I would like you to look at this chart right here. You can see on this graph that we're actually trending upward in our number of tweets and also our engagement. But you'll notice with Instagram that we've had a slight reduction after we stopped doing Winters, but we did pick up those numbers back in the fourth quarter because we increased our synergy and our engagement with our target audience.
I think we know what Mandy does for a living.
Yeah, I think we just learned what Mandy secretly does. She showed
Don't
her.
out me.
And
You show your
also,
skills a little
investors,
bit.
just wait till the end of our podcast so we can get that investor pitch
If
going.
you would like to invest in our podcast by subscribing or writing a review, we would greatly appreciate your
Indeed.
support.
Yeah, so shout out to some of our old segments there. How to Rank Your Dragons, where we ranked every video game dragon in video game history. We had up to, I think, 48 to 50 dragons on that list.
Yeah.
And it's all there. It's in our story feed, so it's easy to go back and look at if you'd like to see how we did on that. That was a fun segment. And then, of course, now it is mainly used to promote our new fledgling sister project, which is our Twitch streaming, the Taste of Dragons Gaming Network, our live streams on a weekly basis. So Instagram, Twitter, they're both very unique. It's worth following each one because you're getting new different content on each of those platforms. We consider them platforms by themselves. Instead of just a way to plug what we're doing, we actually see them as a way to develop content.
Yeah, it's an extension.
To close out, I want to give out our best social media outlet, which would be TikTok. We have a total of 8. Let me see it again. 8 followers. A total of 5 videos. Woo, 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 woo. From over a year and a half ago. So we are killing it in that department.
Killing that game.
Killed. It's
Killed.
just
It's it.
it's
It's it.
dead.
No, we have to go back, guys. Instagram is going to start floundering soon. TikTok is not. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. So we'll have to make that switch. We have to do it. But thank you all for making all these numbers what they are. I find them super interesting. I hope some of you did as well. That's your stats for 100 episodes of the Taste of Dragons Gaming Podcast.
And then also, fun fact to add at the end of that, we've never missed a week since we've started.
That is
Knock
amazing.
on wood, everyone. But
That
we
is
have never
amazing.
missed a week. I think there's only been 1 week, maybe 2 weeks, where we didn't post it on a Sunday, and it was because we forgot. And we posted it on a Monday.
Right.
No, one time it was because one of the podcast things, like I think it was
Oh, that's
Podbean,
right.
like literally had like a hiccup, and it didn't actually upload our episode, and
we
we didn't
thought it
find
did.
out until we went to go listen to it on Monday. We're like, oh no!
That's right.
Considering the year we just had and all the changes that have happened, and the fact that we live in Florida and we get hit by hurricanes, like literally hurricanes, that is phenomenal in my book. That is super. Like, I'll pat myself on the back. I'll do that.
Hashtag humble
You're all
brag.
pretty great.
Yeah, hell yeah, humble brag. That is. Look,
Humble
consistency.
brag.
I already said. I really love consistency. It really does it for me.
And also, fun fact, Joe and I have actually only ever missed 2 episodes, and that's because we were in
Oh,
Japan.
wow.
Oh wow.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
I didn't think about those
Yeah.
stats. I probably missed maybe 10 or 15 maybe because of
As
traveling.
actors/writers, you and Lewis miss more, but that's because you have like work.
Right,
You
right,
have,
right.
like-
Yeah.
I do want to say I did edit those episodes though, so I don't feel like I missed out.
Let's be honest.
I got really
Joe
lucky
has
they were
missed
able to
nothing.
upload them. I downloaded them.
And
Joe
you
has
edited
missed
them. You
nothing.
edited them in Japan, like on trains
Yeah.
and stuff.
It was great.
Yeah, that was,
It was so
really
fun.
dope.
That's amazing. Hats off to you all.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'd also like to talk about our logo. If you guys don't know, we have a pretty darn cute logo, if I say so myself, that we call Todd, which stands for the Taste of Dragons Dragon.
I love it. We love acronyms.
We do. And then what was the story behind that logo?
Well, that one is the one that we have now is actually our second logo. Our first logo was done by Ghostosaurus, and he was a friend of the podcast. And he actually does like digital media for a living. And so when Caitlin, Zach, and I and you had talked about it to begin with, we were like, well, we need something that's more us. So then from my memory, you had mocked up something. We had told Ghostosaurus about it, and he was like, cool, I'll get back to you guys. He took about 3 months. We were already putting episodes out with our own little dumb looking doodles and stuff on them, and then all of a sudden it was like, boom, he made this kick-ass looking blue dragon holding like a spoon in a cereal bowl full of like things.
And it was like an
was
Eastern
just-
style dragon too, which was
Oh
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
He was
I remember
wicked cool
that.
looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, he's I adore him. I adore that dragon. But then we were talking with another friend who's an artist and one of the 3000 Brigaders, and she was like, Can I make something for you guys? Can I do? So we once again kind of told her what the idea of the thing was, and I'm pretty sure Amanda actually can pick it up from there. She gave us the artwork, and then it blew up.
Yeah, she gave us this little picture of Todd, and then I
So
scanned
cute. It was such a cute. It definitely hit the vibes that we were looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I scanned it and put it into the computer. And normally when you do this type of artwork, you would use something like Illustrator, which like creates vector images for those who enjoy digital art. But I never learned to use Illustrator, so I brought it in Photoshop, a tool not made for this type of thing. And then I used the pen tool to create this little Todd artwork. And we're actually on our second iteration of that Todd, because the first one I did was like good, and then I went back and did it again, having learned from the first one to be like, oh, I should do it. So we are on our second Todd.
I love our
Yeah.
little squat dragon with their nerdy glasses and their bowl of
I mean,
ramen and video games.
We're watching Todd grow up. That first dragon, let's be honest, that was Todd's dad. And then
Right,
he couldn't,
right.
he couldn't do it
the
anymore.
badass one.
He
Right,
couldn't do it
right.
anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so he's like, hey son, come in. All right, you can do it. You can do it now. And now we're watching Todd grow up, slowly but surely, as like he gets developed.
Little known fact, but podcast dragons actually grow down, because every time we get a new version of Todd, it is more baby.
Yes.
So,
It is more baby.
Todd is
Oh,
only
it
going to
is.
become more baby.
Yeah, it's the Benjamin Button of dragons.
Yes.
Of course. Yeah. Soon it'll just be an egg. Will that be like one of the logos, just an egg?
As
Yes.
long as
As
it's
long as
very
it can
cute.
hold a controller.
As long as it can hold the controller.
It's actually the arms are going to be busting out of the
Yep.
eggshell.
Yep.
and
Holding the
still playing
controller. Oh my
yes,
god, I
that's-
gonna
actually
be-
love that.
In a
Let's-
bowl of ramen.
It's going to be in the
Let's
bowl
mark,
of
Yeah.
ramen.
let's mark that. Let's mark that.
All right, yeah, okay. That's 2 years from now. Remember this, guys.
Done. At our 200th episode.
Yeah. And I'd also like to talk about the music in this episode, or the sounds we make with our mouth. But they're the same thing with a lot of the time. That all started because we were just messing around in between sequences. I think it actually happened on episode. We didn't plan it. We were just going through it. And I think it started with Dragon of the Week, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And we were just like, all right, Dragon of the Week. And then we just started. I think we started doing a beat, and then you started doing lyrics.
What happened is that we had these segments, and we enjoyed our segments. We just didn't have a segue to get to the segments. So I think as we were going into it, Zach, once again, lots of Zach love today, and Zach and Caitlin love. He actually said to me, because we announced it like Dragon of the Week, he kind of looked at me and was like, I thought you were going to sing it. Like he was kind of like making fun of me because I tend to get musical sometimes, or at least at that time. And he's like, I really thought you were about to sing that song. And then I was like, well, now I have to sing this song. And then we just like made up a really dumb thing, and he immediately regretted that he said it.
And I immediately loved it.
I know.
Like it was the best thing, because it was just like, all right, this is the thing now. This is what we got to do.
We all laughed and had a good one, and then just kept iterating on it from there. And then everyone started joining in after a while and doing backup and who's and ha's, and it's really fun.
You wouldn't notice by how professional all of our bits seem, but they're all live. All of them are live.
Oh, they really were. The what are you playing thing came because I think it was either your first or second episode. I forget which one it was. I think it was the first one without Troy. Mm-hmm. And so we were like, all right, you know, what are you playing? And then I was like, what? There's no music to that? And then she just like deadpans me. And I was just like, oh. Do 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 do. And then the funniest thing about it is it's from Phil Collins, Feel It in the Air. You know, it's in the air, I think is what it's called. And Amanda thought that I made that up on the spot.
So that's pretty good. That's a pretty good job. So what we've learned is all of our musical bits were created via peer pressure of one of us just randomly going, yeah, Lewis, didn't you write a song about this? Or
just
like,
throwing each other under the bus.
Don't you have lyrics to this? Live on air.
And then that just kind of stuck.
Yeah.
And then we've had a bunch of other musical interludes in between there, and then just stupid sound effects. And then when we were gearing up for like season 2, actually I think it was before season 2, our friend Rhythm Bastard, he is a actual musician. He does video game music. Mm-hmm. He's actually going to be doing video game music for a game upcoming called Retromania Wrestling. Mm-hmm. And so he was like, I want to create you guys a theme song. And so I think Troy, you went over there and helped him with it, right?
Yeah, because we figured if we're going to have the intro song, we'd love to do it with our voices like everything else. But, we wanted a little more punch, a little more polish, so to speak. So we took it up with Rhythm Bastard, who's a badass musician. And we were kind of basing a song based on the Dragon of the Week song. And so we were kind of tinkering and doing it. And he's very good with 8-bit sounds. I think that's what you call it, right? That type of chip tune. Mm-hmm. And I remember a lot of the notes we were giving him were like, oh, that sounds dumb. Oh, that sounds great. Or I was like, more bass, more bass, more bass, more bass. And then he's like, oh, what if I delay this and put that there? It was a really great collaboration that on a Saturday for like 3 to 4 hours, it was just playing. It was like recess. It was just so much fun just making music. And that night we got it from each other, and me and him got some food and said our ways. And I thanked him 100 times and paid him for his work. It's important to pay artists for their work. Just saying
Absolutely.
that.
Even if they're your friends.
Artists are well.
Even if they're your friends. It's even more important.
Absolutely.
And then I brought it home to Mandy, and the entire way home, I was just listening to it on repeat, just over and over and over and over and over and over. And then I gave it to Mandy. I'm like, I really like it. I don't know how it works, but I know it's catchy. And then once again, she said something like, I feel like there should be lyrics in it.
You just hear it, and you're like, I feel like I know the words to this song, but I don't know what they are. Like,
because
you sound like you know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, after she said that, me and her just kind of looked at each other, and then we played it like once or twice, and we literally had all the lyrics. It just like happened, and we were like on the same page. We're like, Taste of Dragons Gaming Podcast. We were like, oh my gosh, it was like,
didn't write them, we remembered them.
Yeah, it was strange and amazing. And we immediately took that disc, hopped into the car because it was also Taco Tuesday. It always comes back to Taco Tuesday. And we played it on repeat for the entire half an hour. The jingle itself is only about 12 seconds or 16 seconds. And for a half hour, we just played it on repeat the entire way to Joe and Brian's house.
Yeah, and then they come in, and like they come in like a storm. They're like, guys, like like they came in like Kramer on Seinfeld, just wham, right on open, and like they come in like, all right, we came up with lyrics, we gotta listen to it. We're like, oh, okay,
And
so
granted,
we went outside.
You know, there's the two of you at this party, but there's like probably 15 other people. They're just like, what is
oh,
going
there was,
on?
yeah.
But none of them had a song.
That's right. That's right.
So we go out onto the patio, and so like they play it, and they are both they are singing the lyrics while also simultaneously doing a dance they've also remembered. They didn't come up with a dance; they remembered it at the same time.
But we're only good from the top up because we rehearsed it in the car.
Yeah, waist up. They were on point.
We even had a harmony worked out.
We did.
And the enthusiasm that just came off of them was just like, oh, this is it. This is it.
Even if I didn't like it, I definitely can't say no.
Yeah.
No, we liked it. We liked it a lot.
Yeah, it was great.
We could see you all like like really starting to get excited over the idea of what this could bring to the podcast, and it really was a slam dunk.
I mean,
so
it's a great song. It's catchy as hell. Really catchy. I find myself humming it all the time.
Unfortunately, not all of our songs work out, though. We did have one song that we wanted so badly to bring to you that never quite.
Rhythm Bastard and I worked on like a metal version to intro the news segments. It was very much like it was very heavy. I thought it was hilarious, the idea of us using metal to bring in the news. And
we did use it for one episode. It was
did.
the first episode of season 2. We used it on. So if you guys want to listen to it,
go to
it is there.
season 2, episode 1.
I don't recall it being there.
You took it out?
I think I took it out.
Ah, damn. That's right.
I'm not. You know what? Someone can let me know.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that I came to you guys and was like, guys,
This isn't working.
is not working. This is not okay. It doesn't work.
With Joe's permission, do we want to do it live?
Do it live? Do we want to do it live? Can we do it live,
do it
Joe?
live?
If yes, we can totally
right,
do
let's
it
do it.
live.
All right, here we go.
And if it doesn't work out, I can always just add in the one that we actually recorded. If worse comes to worse.
That would be worse comes to worse.
Right? There we go.
All right, here we go. Okay. 1, 2. News.
Just wow.
So dumb.
It was
so dumb.
So the actual song itself was actually really funny, but it made almost no sense to be in the very middle of our very upbeat.
And it was so aggressive. It was so aggressive.
Between our games and our Animal Crossing segment, it's just us screaming.
Especially because the last news was more of a shrill. It wasn't even like a yell. It was just shrill.
One day we'll be that cool.
Yeah, we will. But yeah, I think the music is one of my favorite things about this now. All the little in between bits, it's always great.
Yeah,
I never don't look forward to those with every single thing that we come up with too, because like we said, a lot of it really is live in the episode.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
Turnip for what?
Yep, that was that one as well. Do. And then Joe, we got some tech now, don't we? Some facts about this podcast.
Yeah, all right, you gearheads. This is what you've been waiting for.
Okay, so these are only being said because we do actually get asked a lot how we record, what we record with, how we do all this jazz. So, real quick, by the numbers, this is how this works. This is what we use when we are physically in person with one another. We have a Tascam US 16x8, which is the actual audio receiver, that's the recorder. It is plugged into a Surface Pro 2 or a Surface Pro 4, depending on what week it is. We use Cakewalk to record it on there. The microphones that we use are a Rode NT1. We have 5 of those. We have 2 Behringer micro amps that we have, because there's 5 of us, you need more than 4. We also have backup microphones, the Audio Technica 2035, but normally it's the Rode NT1s. We have 5 XLRs, 5 headphones, 8 3.5 mini to male stereo 1/4 adapters, because you need them for everything. We have 1 copy of Edition, we have 1 copy of Cakewalk, we have 1 copy of Premiere, 5 awesome gamers and their personalities, and 1 editor.
Dang.
That is what we use to make this show.
Dang.
When we are not together, everything is pretty much the same. It's just split up amongst our households, but we use 3 other devices to record instead of the Tascam. We use 2 of our households have a Zoom H4Ns, and 1 of our households has a Zoom H6 Pro. So that is what we all use to record. Lots of XLR cables and headphones.
Oh, yeah.
And fun.
That's amazing. If you have more questions or want to go deeper, message us on Instagram or Twitter or tasteofdragons@gmail.com. If you have more questions, let us know. We love talking about this stuff.
You also can always hit us up on Twitch if we're ever playing or playing something. Hit us up, ask us some questions. Usually one of us that knows the answer is around, and if not, we can be around pretty quickly normally.
That's a great suggestion.
Shout out to Joe to teaching us all how to use this equipment now that we're all separated. When we were together, fun fact is Joe used to do most of the setup.
Everything.
And then when we had to do our own, it was like, she's like, plug the
We had
no,
to learn.
the yellow one. No, the yellow one. Okay.
She
okay,
taught
good,
us.
Good.
You guys all picked it up very quickly.
Yep,
I was proud.
The bleep bloop goes in the thing, and then you plug and then the button. And
Thanks,
yeah.
Joe Mama.
Those are the words.
Yeah, nice. So I think that is a 100th episode
Wow.
spectacular,
Oh my God.
guys.
Wow.
I feel so reflective. I'm like a
did it.
pool.
Wow.
Now you know everything about us. We are best friends.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right. And you should tell your friends about your best friends, which are us.
So that is a 100th episode spectacular, y'all.
I'm going to take 100 shots
Oh man! So we will never see you again. is
of
what
the
we're saying.
vaccine. Don't actually do that. Don't actually do that. Only
No,
take
don't do
two.
that.
Only
Don't do
take
that.
two. Follow your
Where
doctor's
did you
orders.
get 100 vaccines?
Homemade. No, also not a good idea. Also,
Oh no!
this is
all
horrible
of this
advice.
is bad. All of this is bad.
Okay, I'm just going to stop talking.
But you can't stop talking because even though this is the end of this week's episode, you can always find us online.
That's right. Check us out at twitch.tv/tasteofdragons. We are 6 friends, and 6 days a week, we bring you 6 unique shows programming every day but Tuesday. If you like mindless murder frenzies, check out Lewis on Mondays. If you like chill games where you just want to lay back and eat a snack, check out Lewis on Thursdays.
I really like the juxtaposition between Lewis's murder self and then Lewis is like, I've murdered too much. It's time to relax. Come and chill with me while I don't murder things. And then
Exactly.
it's too chill. So then by Monday, he's like, gotta murder all
Yeah,
the things
it's like
again.
it's like an hour of blood on my hands, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna spend 2 hours cleaning them off. Here we go.
But just to say, we have a lovely programming throughout the whole week, and it really benefits if you want to see them all. Everyone is fun. And you can learn when we're doing that on Instagram, where we keep you up to date on our streams and on our podcasts, and also give you some fun videos and audio clips that you can entertain yourself throughout the weeks. That is at Instagram at Taste of Dragons as well. You can also find out how we are making our way through the indie developer community that is happening on Twitter. Amanda heads up the account there and loves to give us some insight into what's going on. Is there any insight happening this week, Mandy, for you to share?
Guys, this is the most exciting week yet. Prim, the adventure game that we've been following collectively together on this podcast, has just released the date for their demo. The demo for Prim is going to be on February 2nd. If you don't know, Prim is a black and white adventure game styled kind of like a Tim Burton movie. It's about Death's Daughter. It is a point and click made by a single developer in Germany. If you haven't checked it out, I highly suggest doing a follow, a subscribe, and checking out that demo.
Find us on Twitch, find us on Twitter, find us on Instagram, and you can help others find us by telling friends, word of mouth, however you want to, but also by leaving a review or a rating on whatever podcast service that you are listening on. It really helps us. And also, hey, it's our 100th episode. Let us know how we're doing, because we know there's always room for improvement.
That's right. And if you don't find us, we'll find you.
Oh, with
Ominous.
and on the driveway with the little book with the bouncer.
Yeah, with the bouncer.
Hey. They didn't all ask for favors. We're okay.
So yeah, as always, my name is Brian.
My name is Troy.
Amanda.
I'm Lewis.
And I'm Joe.
And we are the
Taste
of
of
Dragons. Have a great week, everyone. 100 episodes.
100. That's a hundy right there. Yeah.
Taste of Dragons Gaming Podcast, a podcast for everyone's taste.